on in your life. As a minister of the gospel of Jesus, I have a circle of people, right, that I relate with. Anytime any of them does anything that is significant, I go and thank God. Not just publicly sending a text, you are doing well, because you can send a text and your heart is not really there. All right? That's what, well, you don't have that slang in Kenya, so don't let me use it. But it's called frenemies, which means friends, enemies. An enemy who is a friend. So you can send a text, but you go to God and thank God for the progress of your friends. Thank God for the blessing that rests upon them. Thank God. A person who thanks God and has gratitude for what God is doing in the lives of other people that you don't even understand, you open up the door for God to cause those kind of things to happen in your life. When there's anger and resentment in your heart, always check it, right? Then Satan says, well, there's a anger and resentment here, which means a canker worm can come in there and take that. All right? Number 4 here, as we bring this to a close, obviously forgiveness. That's very, very obvious. Walking in forgiveness, which means make forgiveness forgiving other people. You know, forgiveness, let me just say this here. Before any massive breakthrough comes into your life, in the spirit realm, massive thing happens. God will stretch your spiritual capacity to be able to receive that new thing he wants to do. And the way he stretches it is that somebody does something to you that causes unusual pain. And he says, exercise yourself and forgive that person of this thing. As you are stretching yourself to bring yourself to forgive that person, that's why he says, judge not, condemn not, and you shall be condemned. He says, forgive. Then he says, give. So, forgive is before giving. That's why it's forgive before giving. Then give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Before the running over blessing comes in, God stretches that person. Because you can't pour new wine into old wineskin. You have to increase the capacity of that individual to relate to people. Because with every major blessing you are going to get, persecution is going to increase. And if you don't have the capacity to handle persecution, for people to say things and you just tell people that don't worry about it. That look, they are saying those things out of ignorance. As Jesus said, Father, forgive them for they don't know what they are saying. They don't mean it. You know, you even are making it, they don't mean it. They are just saying it, reacting to things. That when we meet them and explain what's going on, they will. You see, you have to have capacity. Or else, if God blesses you at a point, persecution will come with the blessing and it will destroy everything. So forgiveness is something, all right, that you need to practice. Now, how do you practice forgiveness there? Jesus said, this is the way you forgive. It's not by willpower. Jesus said, if you shall say to this mountain, be thou removed and cast into the sea, and don't doubt in your heart, but believe what you're saying will come to pass, you will have whatever he said. He said, so I say unto you, whatever things you desire, when you pray, believe you have received them, and you shall have them. Then Jesus said, the only thing that can block this principle from coming to pass is unforgiveness. So he said, while you are praying, when do you forgive? Forgive while you are in prayer. And how do you do it? Put that person into your prayer. And begin to pray the kind of blessing that you want on your own self. Begin to pray that blessing on that person. That is the nature of blessing. You can't do it by willpower. You do it in prayer. you're going to prayer and you see the face of the person, and you start praying for that person and see that person with the blessings of God, all right, within their lives, and do that. You know, in 1991, let me say this, and I would not be in ministry today if not for this particular thing. 1991, I was in university in Lagos, and I was going through certain things in the fellowship because, well, to cut story short, I could teach and all of that, so it created a lot of things, so I left the fellowship. So I came back, and when I came back, I was in the fellowship, and there were all kinds of things that were going on. I literally had just one friend, real friend I could trust on that campus, that I would sit down and talk with and all of that. And one day I went to the sports field to go and pray. And God told me, he said, listen, these people you feel, about 3 of them that did you wrong, I want you to pray for them. And I started praying. He said, you must be specific about the blessing that I'm going to bring upon them. And I began to intercede, and I prayed out those specific, I wasn't just praying bless them, specific things. When I say specific, which means when they are in possession of those things, it will look like they won and I lost. Are you following what I'm saying here? Do you understand what I'm saying? A man breaks up with you, or a woman breaks up with a man, you are praying that they find a good partner. Do you get what I'm saying? You know, that's what I'm trying. That's the kind of prayer where you are praying that the wedding went successfully, not that there will be rain. That God must, right? They will be successful. There will be help. You are praying that blessing there. I'm telling you, whatever you pray for your enemy automatically comes to you. Go and read what Jesus said. Jesus, when he said, whatsoever you want men to do unto you, he said, go and read what he said. He said, do it to your enemies. He said, if you can do it to your enemies, the whole of humanity will do it back to you. That's why he said, go and read what he was saying. It wasn't just, he was saying, don't judge them. Don't condemn them. Forgive them. Then give unto them, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I'm telling you that obedience in forgiveness. My friend Bishop Kate Butler, he told a story about forgiveness, most powerful story I've ever heard on forgiveness. He said the first assignment ever, and after that I'll just take one point and close. First assignment ever he will have in his life. God told him to go and buy a church in Detroit. He said when he got there, God said, this is the church, you should buy it. It cost $75,000. This was in 1979. He said all they had in the church anywhere was $25. He went to meet them and said, we'll put down a deposit of $25,000, and in 3 months we'll come back with $50,000. They said, deal. Then they told him, if you don't come back with the $50,000 in 3 months, you lose the $25 deposit and you lose the building. He said, no problem. He said, after about 1 month, his assistant pastor, who was much older than him, said he wants to leave the church and go and start his ministry. So he said, he told him, look, just calm down. Calm down. Let's finish this church project. You know, we're believing God for something. Then we'll do the ministry. And he was the one that made him assistant pastor. Nobody knew him. He's the one that made him the assistant pastor. You know, so I understood what probably was going on. Because there was financial pressure. And once to cut long story short, the man left. And he left with certain people. And it looked like he left with the big givers of the church. Are you following what I'm saying? Okay. So he began to confess. I'm telling you this. If you're confessing and praying for something that you know is inside the word of God for you, check this issue of forgiveness. And he was confessing. He said in the process, God told him, go and meet the assistant. No, he said, go to the church, raise an offering for the assistant pastor that left. Put the offering together, go and meet him where he is, hand him the money, hug him, and say, I love you. He said, what? He said, he continued praying. God said, go to the church, raise an offering, go and meet the assistant pastor where he is, give it to him and say, I love you. So he said he was good. So he went and said, God, I will obey. I will raise the offering. I knew what was going to happen. As I was saying it. He raised the offering. It was the largest offering ever. Now, you are believing God for money, for a building. The people are not giving. Then you call the name of somebody that left the church And then they begin to give. So if you're not careful, you may even get angry at the church members, and you're walking on forget. So he said he gathered it. Went to meet the man, handed him the check. The man took the check without making eye contact with him, turned his back at him, put it in and walked away. He said he looked. He said, God said, you have not finished the instruction. Go and tell him you love him. He said, with his head down, he walked to him. I love you. God said it's done. He said he went back. He got to the last day they had to believe God. He was confessing the word of God and praising God. He said the phone rang, 10 a.m. He didn't want to pick it because he was focused on confessing and praising. He picked it. A gentleman said, sir, I need to come and see you right now. He said, he said, I need to see you. I have an instruction. He said the man came. He walked into his office. He said, well, I'm not a member of your church. I came to your church once. I heard you preach. I liked what you were saying this morning. God spoke to me clearly, and he told me to do this. He opened his checkbook, put it before him. Write any amount. He said, he looked. He said, sir, I need $50,000. He said, then write it. He said he wrote 50, shaking. The man signed it. Is that all? He said, yes, you can have it, and walked away. He said he walked into that place 15 minutes to the close of the deal with $50,000. Those people already had other people to come and pay because they thought he won't make it. That's the power. Once you obey forgiveness, you open. He said that church grew to 22,000. The man's church folded up. He didn't fold up because he wanted it to fold up. He folded up because of the behavior of the man. Are you following what I'm saying here? Listen, don't let unforgiveness exchange your blessing in the spirit realm. You hear what I said? Don't let it. Anytime anybody does something that provokes you, know that you are one step from a major breakthrough in your life. Exercise what? Forgiveness. Last thing I'm going to say, because of time I can't go through the scriptures, but this is what I want to say. Remember, it is a hedge and there is a gap. And what Satan is looking for are gaps. In the final analysis, in the book of Ezekiel chapter 13 verse 5, it says, the prophets have not gone in, all right, to go and stand in the gap, to make a hedge for the children of Israel in the day of battle. Now, so when there are gaps, and you may not know where those gaps are, this is a foolproof thing that you can do. Make sure you don't go into life alone. When God said it is not good for man to be alone, he wasn't just referring to wife and all of that. Nobody can succeed alone. There is a temptation of Satan for us to live life alone, to